Ellis Island, our first and closest look at the Statue of Liberty, Yankee Stadium, where they're having a playoff game today, the gorgeous Palisades, and the nudist colony. Don't get too excited. It's the AARP nudist colony. Bunch of people in birthday suits and neat ironing.
Aluminum car. Also, please use caution when using the gangway and moving about the vessel, as the vessel will rock.
Had a hand in naming things around here. First came the Native Americans, and they gave us Weehawken. Translation: rocks that look like trees. A great deal more. You want an example? I'll give you one right away. Left side, here comes a little village, now neighborhood of Chelsea. Sexy, trendy, fashionable Chelsea. Into the river, it's a day-night, year-round, all-weather driving range. Hence that screen around it. In 1912, the pier was leased to the White Star Lines, and this is where the Titanic would have docked if she had made it this far. Speaking of the Titanic, front-page news around the world, local news, way down at the very tip of Manhattan Island. So tall, so close, they form canyons. Canyons have become quite dark and deserted at nightfall. A perfect haunt for a creature of the night, such as Batman. Here on your left comes Gotham City. It's also the financial capital of the world. Every business day, Monday through Friday, 1 out of 4 financial transactions recorded on the planet. You're going to hear it again, big time. So, tallest building in the Western Hemisphere on our left. True enough for now. Well, what about New Jersey on the right? Do they have any tall buildings? Are they getting there? Look over to your right, into the waterfront. Check out the tallest building you see with the crane up on top, still under construction. It is 99 Hudson Place in Jersey City. When done, it will top out at 900 feet, which is respectable. It wouldn't stand out in Manhattan. We have over 11 buildings over 1,000 feet. Yeah, folks, we don't use the windows to take pictures downstairs, lower deck, please. And we don't have that many windows. To accommodate newly arrived, fresh off the boat immigrants, greenhorns we call them, people processed into America through the great seaport of New York. Now in those days, if you had been approved for entry and if you were not going to stay in New York City, one nations combined, over 10 million of those platforms out back. Look past the yellow flag. You can still see the platforms. 10 million boarding trains headed west. Pittsburgh, Chicago, Kansas City, Keokuk, Kankakee, Kalamazoo. He gave her the body of his mistress. And he gave the statue a 35-foot waist and a 4.5-foot nose. She wears a crown with 7 spikes for the 7 seas and 7 continents. At her feet, there are chains. She was shackled in slavery just before we got here, but watch closely. Watch for the right foot, you'll see it. She's picking up that... Sir! Hello, my friend. She's picking up that right foot. She's not standing still. Oh no, she's walking forward. Shackles have been struck off. She is never 2 or 3 of the statue, but then think seriously about taking a walk. Downstairs, lower deck, forward, onto the bow. Take your camera with you, for us and Pop. Because when we straighten out of this turn in front of us, there's going to come something. What are the people on the island doing right now? Well, right now, they're taking our picture. We just sailed into theirs. Go ahead, smile and wave. Drive them nuts. You get a better picture. Once you're actually on the island, all you can do is shoot right up her nose. That's not very elegant. This is the better angle. This is the better angle. Now then, you might well agree with all this New York City hype, yet 'tis possible it's not your cup of tea. You do indeed. Manhattan Bridge, third last will be the Williamsburg Bridge. 3 bridges in a row. A lot to remember on a Saturday. We'll do it this way. Brooklyn, Manhattan, Williamsburg. E-M. little more than a century. But halfway through that century, half of all the tall buildings in this planet made their way to this one little island of Manhattan. The most famous of skyscrapers, well, that is a no-brainer. And the answer has not changed in 88 years. It is? What else? It is the Empire State Building. There it is, to your left. Biggest thing over there, you can't miss it. Biggest thing over there, you can't miss it. It's been that way now for 88 years. 41 of those years, tallest city buildings have ever built. You find the New York Mets. Don't bother looking for them in the playoff season. That's another story. What you can see on the right side is the biggest Pepsi-Cola sign you've ever seen. Kind of matches the old Colgate clock, right? Big Pepsi-Cola sign on your right. It's a landmark. It's been there since 1936. We don't bottle Pepsi-Cola in Queens, Long Island City anymore. But the sign, a landmark since 1936, it stays. What's it doing over there? And why so big? Well, the answer is back on the left side. Now, the United Nations is foreign soil by treaty, 19 acres. But once we pass by the United Nations, we're back in the good old US of A. Zip code 121. Some more of those red brick apartment buildings. The most posh of the bunch will be the River House, and the biggest of the bunch as well. The panelist at the top of the River House, owned for many years by Mr. Robert Woodruff. Coca-Cola, in your face, Bob.
No hem vist el cartell de Coca-Cola que es millor bé. Allà com es diu allà al centre?
Apartment buildings on our left? Yeah, zip code 121, the highest per capita income zip code in the country. What the politicians call the Silk Stocking District. If you lived here over the years, your neighbors would have been such as Greta Garbo, Charlie Chaplin, Irving Berlin, Katharine Hepburn, and for 1 year, 1954, if you hung out at the convenience store at Sutton Place, the white buildings of Sutton Place, you might have been in the checkout line behind Marilyn Monroe. Now there's a view you don't get from the Circle Line. On the cruise, 20 bridges, here comes number 4, and this bridge has 3 names. Right side, the Queensboro Bridge. Left side, the 59th Street Bridge. What's the third name? Well, in recent years, the city has decided we should now call this the Ed Koch Bridge. The late Ed Koch, one of our former mayors. Well, they can decide whatever they like, but I can tell you with great assurance, no New Yorker is ever going to call this the Ed Koch Bridge. If Ed were alive, he wouldn't do it. If you're in Queens on the right, it's the Queensboro. If you're Manhattan on the left, as Ed was, it'd be the 59th Street Bridge. Made briefly famous 1966 by Simon and Garfunkel and their 59th Street Bridge song, Feeling Groovy. This is the bridge. Now, the bridge is a curious thing. This is Roosevelt Island on our right, where over 9,000 people live. Hospitals, all sorts of neat stuff over here. But also 9,000 people live here. And if they work, and many do, they work in Manhattan, most do. How are they supposed to get back and forth? They can't use a bridge. It doesn't stop at Roosevelt Island. It goes over the top. They can ride the Roosevelt Island aerial tram, a sky car. Now, no promises, but keep a sharp lookout up just past the bridge. One of those bright red cars in transit. It's a 4-minute crossing. Anybody wants to live out here, subway. How do you get on board? It is quite a view. Well, in Manhattan, you have to go to 59th Street. Oh, there's one. Look at that. Good timing, Cap. To your left. Just going over, but 59, you have to go to 59th Street and 2nd Avenue in Manhattan. On the east side, a block from Bloomingdale's. Pay a fare, ride over, pay another fare, and ride back. It is quite a view. Spectacular. If you live in the States, there's a pretty good chance, about 2 in 5, that your doctor was trained here in New York City. We have, at last count, 174 hospitals, of which 26 are teaching hospitals. The whole flock of them along the waterfront. We passed some already. Here comes some more. One of them you might recognize. You say, well, why would I recognize it? I've never been here before. Maybe not. But you might have seen the last of the Bourne films with Matt Damon. And in it, watch for the Hospital for Special Surgery coming up on your left. You'll recognize it if you saw the film. You can feel it right now. The waters are always in turmoil. And the Dutch blame the devil for it, hence Hellgate. Well, then why are we going there? It's how we get around the island. And if we don't go there, you won't get a glimpse of the mayor's home, Gracie Mansion. We thought you should, so here we go. Batten down the hatches, getting rough already. It'll take a minute or two to get to where we can actually see the house this time of year. So let's talk about who lives there. That would be the mayor of New York. Mayors of New York are said to have the second most difficult job in the country. We can see the president as number one, being the mayors said to be number two. Tough job, dead end. Never leads to anything else. Well, then what's in it for you? Well, you do get your own single-family detached house, the American dream. Maybe so, west of the Hudson, but on the Isle of Manhattan, the only person that gets the American dream is the mayor. He gets Gracie Mansion. Everyone else lives, well, look around you. This is how we live. High rises, row houses. Now we can start looking for the house. Left side, follow the waterfront. You're looking for a flagpole. I can see it already. Flagpole stands at a spot known as Horn's Hook. And in the 1790s, a wealthy merchant from Scotland by the name of Archibald Gracie built her summer home out here at Horn's Hook to take advantage of the summer breezes, which she did for 24 years. And then Archie went bankrupt. The house was lost to the family. The house survives into the 20th century as the property of the New York City Parks Department. And in that year, 1943, the Parks Commissioner decrees it henceforth be the official residence of the mayors of New York. And that was before they went down. And in that year, in the Gracie Mansion, moved our most colorful of mayors, the beloved little flower Fiorello LaGuardia. The Parks Commissioner moves him in. Robert Moses, remember that name, and now let's look for the house. It's hard this time of year. You got to find the flagpole. Right behind the flagpole will be a yellow house, green shutters, and white trim. They also have a big white tent up. They're having a reception this afternoon, and there's some construction. But behind the flagpole, yellow house, green shutters, and white trim. Is it more difficult today to be mayor than it was LaGuardia's day? You could argue both ways. One thing we know for sure, mayors today do not have to deal with the force of nature by the name of Robert Moses. Let's not deal with Moses right now because his fingerprints on everything around us. You see that? Well, start with the bridge on your right. The big bridge, that's Triborough Bridge, mighty Triborough. Opens in 1936, connecting Queens, the Bronx, and Manhattan. The last ice age split those boroughs apart. Moses would lace them back together again with the Triborough. There's the house to your left. Quickly, don't miss it. You see the parkway on our left, which goes under Gracie Mansion, comes up this side as the Harlem River Drive, built by Robert Moses. Did you get to town through the Lincoln Tunnel? You could thank Moses. Did you come across the Barons on those Narrows Bridge? Moses. Have you had lunch at Tavern on the Green? You Mental Hospital. Mostly empty now. Behind it, the training grounds for New York City's fire department. In round numbers, there are 12,000 New York City firemen. On September 11th, by lunchtime, we were short 343. When everyone else in those burning buildings were running out to save themselves, and who wouldn't? Firemen, men with families, hopes, dreams, and knowing the odds went in to get people. Since opening day, April 18th, 1923, of the triple-tiered, over-the-top, most spectacular of all sports palaces, the original Yankee Stadium. They call it the house that Babe Ruth built. Not just baseball that made Yankee Stadium part of legend and folklore. 3 popes have come to this country. Every single one of them said mass at Yankee Stadium. Then there were the boxing matches. 20 championship fights, the biggest, no doubt about it. 1938, eve of the Second World War, motions running at a fevered pitch. Most famous man in Hollywood, not the world, heavyweight champion Joe Louis. And in 2 minutes and 4 seconds of the very first round, bam, it was over. Joe Louis knocked out Max Kelly. There never was a third fight. Instead came the Second World War. Motions running at a fevered pitch. Both men in their armed forces, respective armed forces. Max, a German paratrooper, Joe was sergeant in the U.S. Army. 43 years later, Joe Louis passed away too. Lou walks to home plate at the stadium, speaks into a special microphone. You would have heard his voice bounce off this motor. We've been here on that day. I know you think I've had a bad break, but I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Lucky to be a Yankee. 2 years later, we had a name for the disease we could pronounce. We still call it Lou Gehrig's disease. 2 years later, the Iron Horse was gone. Well, now, the house that Ruth built is gone, replaced by, watch to your right, just past the big white bubble, comes the current Yankee Stadium. You won't miss it. Big stadium with big letters around the top. In your face, Yankee. Got leaves still around, I guess. Left side, the old home of the New York Giants, who are today the San Francisco Giants. They played at the old Polo Grounds. Where are the Polo Grounds now? Gone. That playground, Robert Moses Playground, in its place. The ridge line behind those apartment buildings is known locally as Coogan's Bluff, formed by a hill known locally as Sugar. Richard Pryor, Bill Cosby, and many others. They may have ended up as big stars riding in big limousines, but they started out on the stage of the Apollo on a Wednesday night at Going Green. If we go through the marina at even this reduced speed, we create a wake sufficient to make that boathouse bounce up and down. Well, it might be fun, but it wouldn't be nice, so when we get there, we simply coast through the marina. It works, we do it twice a day. Once out the other side, we'll pick up the tempo, finish off the Harlem, the Bronx, and before you know it, we'll be back in the home stretch in the mighty Hudson heading home. Now, this boathouse up ahead, left side, it has a name, the Peter J. Sharp Boathouse. Among other things, it's a home of the Fordham University rowing crews, men and women. It also doubles as a place where young people
una autopista que sigue la planta 25.
Big deal, you say? Well, it can be. Many of the universities in the area have very active rowing crews, men and women.
La maquinista, quan surts per darrere cap a la ronda litoral, no sé on, una vegada vaig passar amb la furgoneta que em va permetre veure per sobre de la valla. I era una setena planta. O sigui, set. Hi havia una autopista, carretera, autopista. Marina, què dius tu?
Em busque, però passo.
Ets famosa, ja per aquí.
Estic aquí ben assentadeta. Veig a moure.
Tots aquests pots.
No, cuida't, això està tot a baix, Està amb la mirada de la gent a baix.
Sí, no li deu cabre dintre. S'ha fet caqueta, la fresqueta que fa. Nosaltres ens hem fet caqueta, però ens hem quedat.
Ens hem fet típic per calentar-nos.
Anem a l'Estatua de la Llibertat, ara. O no? No anirem a l'Estatua de la Llibertat.
No anirem.
Estatua de la Llibertat. Fins barrat.
Ets tu que me fas fer coses.
This so-called Harlem River is no such thing. It is a tidal strait. Water beneath the salty, tidal seawater, often no fresh water. Years ago, they dredged it for shipping. Before they did that, you could ford the Harlem River right here. As a matter of fact, a tall man could cross the river and keep his head above water. Because you could do that, for many years there was a manor house right on the right here called Fordham Manor. Well, as you can see, it's not there anymore. But the name stuck. We still call those hills Fordham Heights. And you can see the exit on the freeway, West Fordham Road. Follow that exit for about a mile and a half, you come to a very famous Catholic Jesuit university, Fordham University. Alumni, far more famous people that we could list in the time we have, but I'll give you the range. Fordham University graduated. Okay. So, what do we have here on the right? A bunch of grouchy people waiting for a train. Why are they grouchy? They get the wrong side of the bed? No, they get the wrong side of the river. They're on the right side. They want to be on the left side. They complained. The city said, well, we're not changing the river back. Forget about it. So Marble Hill said, we'll do something about it. So the city came up with a virtual solution. Sort of thing the Wizard of Oz might have dreamed up. Remember the wizard when he could not grant the scarecrow a parade? He gave him a diploma. Well, when we couldn't physically put Marble Hill back to the left side of the river, they simply passed a law that said that they were. In the act of the legislature, it read, henceforth and forevermore, community of Marble Hill shall be considered part of the county of New York, which is Manhattan. So there you are, a virtual solution. Are they happy now? Well, did they look happy to you? Light towers to our left, they belong to a football stadium. This is Saturday, right? College football, Ross Sismo Bot. This is Baker Field to our left. belongs to Columbia University. Columbia University is no longer a major football power. It's actually gotten better in the last couple of years. Once upon a time, they were a national power. Then for a long time, they fell on hard times. For many years, if Columbia University's football team split in half and played each other, they couldn't win. They're still quite proud of their rowing teams. Why not? Columbia University's rowing team, the last, actually the first America's most romantic river valley, the Hudson. Today, you can see, you'll be able to see all the way up to where the river bends, and that's the little town of Osney, better known by its short name, Sing Sing. Yep, it's where the prison is located. In the old days, you did something bad, they put you on a boat, and they sent you up the river to Sing Sing. Well, you're going down the river on this boat. And for 40 seconds straight. So we'll be turning left, but you take a quick glance up river to your right. How's this for bringing down the curtain of America's favorite boat ride? Under that claustrophobic Harlem River into the vast expanse of gorgeous scenery of this lower Hudson Valley. Those are the Palisades dead ahead. Sheer cliffs, here they average 450 feet above the water's edge. Keep in mind, you're only looking at 2/3 of the Palisades. Where's the other third? Underwater, we're now back in the North or Hudson River, a drowned river. The water beneath is salty, tidal seawater. Salty enough it did fool Henry Hudson for a while. Hudson was no fool. He was an experienced ship's captain. He and his men had come here looking for gold, silver, and a shortcut to China. By the time they got here, they had found none of those things, and they were in a very bad mood. That salt water, this salt water beneath us, did not turn out to be the connector to the next ocean over. They would have wasted nearly a year of their lives. And in 1609, that was no small matter. So with high hopes, they sailed north of the North River. The further north they went, the more depressed they got. The salt diminished, the tide disappeared. They knew soon enough it was hopeless, a wild goose chase. Did a U-turn, came right back down this way. When they got right here, their temper was not improved by a violent thunderstorm that seemed to brew up out of nowhere. The valley is notorious for such storms. We could have one here in the next hour. For us, it would only be inconvenient. For that little high-pooped yacht, the Half Moon, it would have been curtains. They could not have survived. So for their lives, they skedaddle into that cove off to your left to wait it out. When safe, they came back up, continued downstream, back to the great harbor where they anchored.
Chicago, El Rey León, Aladdin, Christmas Spectacular starring the Radio City Rockets, ni idea. Blumen Group, Wicked, que es la de Encantado, Embrujado o algo así. Stomp es lo de los cubos. Moulin Rouge y el fantasma de la ópera son el Stomp.
They only knew two tunes. One was Yankee Doodle, the other one was not. Ma'am? F. Scott Fitzgerald once said there are no second acts in American life. For Grant there was. First act, not a happy one. First stint in the Army, leaves under a cloud. By the time he's 39 years old, he's reduced to work as a clerk in his father's dry goods store. Second act, Civil War. Back into the Army goes Grant as a colonel of volunteers. It's an insult to give a West Point graduate that command. Grant doesn't care. He needs the money. He might go as a colonel of volunteers. He comes out 4 years later wearing more stars than any general since George Washington. We have over the years written poems generations of American school children instructing them that Lincoln freed the slaves. Lincoln did not free the slaves. Grant freed the slaves. It was Lincoln's genius to put him in the job and keep him there. Well, he got the job done. Grant always got the job done. Now the church people. Riverside Church, Church of John D. Rockefeller Jr. Like Rockefeller before him, Mr. Jr. was a devout Baptist. He had a favorite preacher by name Harry Emerson Fosdick. Quite progressive for his day and way too progressive for his own church, so they kicked him out. Fosdick needs a pulpit. This Riverside Church is what Rockefeller built for Harry Emerson Fosdick. The bell tower, biggest in the world with 79 bells ringing over 5 octaves, that he named for his mother, that is the Laura Spellman Rockefeller Bell Tower. Now both Riverside Church and Grant's Tomb perched up here on Morningside Heights, which they shared with our Ivy League school, Columbia University. But Columbia is 2 blocks back off the tree line, so you gotta look behind the church steeple. Just coming into view now, a rectangular building, sort of silver in color. That is the new science building on the campus of Columbia University. In its shadow, still standing, the old science building on the campus of Columbia University. Known today. Is this building right on the waterfront to our left, strange looking shape, triangular, has a name, one word, Via. It's the work of our current hot rock star architect, a gentleman from Denmark by the name of Ingalls, and this is, well, he calls it Via, V-I-A. He's given us a new word. We all know what a courtyard is, we all know what a skyscraper is. He says this is a court scraper. It's designed so everybody gets a nice view of the Hudson River. Yeah, you probably could, you couldn't fail to spot that big. It'll be sailing in the afternoon tide. And it'll blow that whistle. Do 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 do. The bow is closed, and now the stairs are closed. If you're on stairs anywhere, please get off the stairs. What are you going to do when you get off this boat? Well, one thing you can do is quite handy, and that's go to the Intrepid, our next door neighbor. It's open today till 6. If you go to the Intrepid, you leave enough time. How much time? About the amount of time you spent with us. 2.5 to 3 hours is about right. Nothing less, gets it done. A sleek white aircraft at the Intrepid, now on the waterfront. That is a Concorde, not just any old Concorde. Oh no, very plain to set the speed record from New York to London. 2 hours, 52 minutes, and 59 seconds, which, by coincidence, it's only a coincidence, it's about the time it took us to go around the island. So I suppose you could say, stairs are closed, please. I suppose you could say that if you were taken off on the Concorde, as we left the pier, by the time we get back to the pier, you'd be landed in London. Your baggage would be in Buenos Aires, no doubt. Transportation, there are 2 city buses that depart directly from the pier. You don't even cross the street, they're right there. Number 42 will take you to 42nd Street, Times Square, Grand Central. Number 50 will take you to Rockefeller Center, FAO Schwartz, Nintendo, Lego, St. Pat's, and Trump Tower.
Esperem, què dieu, dos busos? Dieu dos busos.
Ah, no, perquè informava que un va